First of all, I want to say thank you to Brian at Montana for the opportunity to play there. It was everything that we thought it would be. An incredible team. He does a tremendous job with his team. They execute at a high level. They had a tremendous fan base, opportunity to travel and play in a great environment. So grateful for the opportunity. Obviously, I think that they played better than we did, and executed better than we did, and we have a lot to learn from that game. We actually came away being able to see the things that I think we saw in small bits in some other games, but really exposed some things that we need to improve on. So excited for practice today and grateful for the mindset that our young women already have shown from the loss, and I know we'll learn a lot from it.
Just how difficult was it to get past that first quarter, 22-10, and just what happened in that first quarter to allow them to get out like that?
Yeah, I think a lot of things went wrong. We started out a little off defensively and gave up an open three, and Savia got two quick fouls, and our point guard sits down, and the environment is outstanding, and we did not communicate at a high level, and so we struggled to get into offense. Again, that's credit to them. But there are things that were within our control that I think we recognize that we need to grow in. And if I can probably settle on one thing today, it would be the way that we were could have been composed and communicated at a higher level on both ends of the floor.
And then the other thing from that game that really jumps out is the 2 for 14 on the threes. Just what made it so difficult to hit from the outside?
Yeah, I always want to. I think that their defense, they played incredibly hard. You could tell in warm-ups the way they were going to play and compete. You could see it in previous games. They've had some injuries, and so they were bringing players back off minutes restrictions, and they were playing at a high level. And you could just see the hunger of that team. So I want to give credit to them and their defense for that. I also think that the communication and the ability to get into what we want to get into was not at the level that we want, part being our point guard is sitting down, our starting point guard. And then I also think just the poise in the environment and the ability to kind of slow down, listen, and have that poise to set up and be efficient in our movements, our screening, and the little things really kind of trailed off, I would say, in those moments.
Coach, I know you mentioned Savia getting two quick fouls, and then obviously that affects things with how well she's been playing. I think she finished with 22 still. Mm-hmm. What can you say? And then I know especially you mentioned composure as well for her to kind of still have that sort of impact, especially as a sophomore. What do you see from your point guard in that regard?
Yeah, there was some great moments. I mean, obviously she's going to look back at film and see some things that that second foul. But for instance, in the first half, we needed a spark. It was a tough quarter. The first quarter. And I was able to put her in with two fouls and say, you cannot get your third. And she gave us, I think, a 5-point swing really quick, and we put her back out. And she just, the maturity to go in there and okay, I'm going to help give this team a spark and then not foul and then, understand that. And coming in and understanding what we thought we could get in pick and rolls and trying to help us get into those things. And I just think her understanding of what's needed is high. Her discipline on the offensive end of the floor is special. I think she can be disciplined with the ball. She can be disciplined in her ability to get a team in an offense and be poised. And I think those are things that you still saw in that game. So she did not, kind of lose that ability to listen and make adjustments, as a lot of us did that in that game. And so that was a great example. There were still moments. You got a third foul pretty early again, and there's moments, and that's just still trying to bring your aggressiveness because she wasn't really in foul trouble because we had kept her out a little longer. But I think her ability to recognize there's still an aggressiveness to be had in the game was special.
And then at a point in that second half, I believe you were in single digits, chipping away. What really helped you get to that point, and then what weren't you able to keep doing right to maybe tie it and take the lead?
Mm-hmm. I think just again, when the poise was lost, we still as a group did not ever regain it. I think individuals started seeing some things that worked, and we were able to run in those moments. Like we made a nice run in screen and rolls and just execution in those moments. And then it was usually defense that let us down. And so unfortunately, we would struggle to get a couple stops, or we would have a moment where we'd step out of bounds, or something would be just off, and that would shake us a little bit. And then the crowd, of course, and then you can't hear. And it's what's the greatest thing about going on the road. I'm so excited that we had that opportunity, really. I'm genuinely grateful because I do think that it will change how we can prepare going forward for those moments. And just, it makes it more, it means more. When we put the crowd noise on or we do something like that, there's going to be oh yeah, we need to lock into this moment. But anyway, I went away from your question a little bit, but I just think that the defensive end of the floor is where we've still got to get stops. When you've been down and you've worked hard to come back, you've been able to get a few stops, you've been able to execute better on the offensive end of the floor, but then you start giving up buckets, and we're going to get into and their home floor, back and forth. We were not poised enough for that yet.
Different teams, different personalities. How did this team take that loss, especially on the ride back?
Yeah, I thought we had good humility. I think that we recognize individually the things that we need to be better at, which affect us all. I think even as a coaching staff, I think that we immediately, in the game, we're like, we just don't have them where we need them for a few things, like our defensive communication is one that is on us, in my opinion. We don't communicate our changing screens, so if we're changing a ball screen coverage or, we've changed our personnel, we've got to be able to communicate at a higher level. That's really on our coaching staff.
I always say you learn more from the things you do wrong than anything you do right. What dividends could this game pay down the road?
Yeah, I agree with you, unfortunately, but I hope that one of our core values is growth. And I do think there were things that we should have already learned from some wins. And so that's one of the things that we've got to learn in the future. It's one of our first areas of there were things that we could have cleaned up from the wins that would have prevented the loss, to Montana. And so, but I do think we'll be more eager to fix some of those things because of the loss. But if we could take ourselves out of that mentality and understand that, hey, when there's something to correct, let's correct that. All of us, coaching staff, players, everyone, I think that we will grow faster. But from a basketball-specific thing, I would say that our defensive communication and intensity can't go and ebb and flow with our offense. And so I do think that happened at Montana.
When Ellen had to go 6 for 26, how difficult is it to overcome that? And just what was going on with those two?
Mm-hmm. I think your point guard going out did affect that. I think the way we ran our offense affected it, and it does make people feel they have to take on something. I think we weren't screening well, which puts the ball in someone's hand, and it's hard to get it out of their hand sometimes because we've struggled to get open. And so I think some were just reads that needed to be better. And I think that's something that, when we get into a mentality of we don't get ourselves organized, we don't get off the ball fast enough. And I think those are all things in any moment that could be. Some were incredible shots that did not fall. I mean, there were moments, what it's like to be on the road, and you're like, that's a layup, and we're there. They're not falling for us. And I think that's, again, the confidence that you have at home that you need to have on the road to finish the shots that you finish and that you can. And I would say, again, it's really all accountable moments because the shot selections that we take and the way the offense runs is on the 5 people on the floor. And so it's an area of growth I want to see us grow in. So you have your point guard out, and you have your 2 starting guards, other guards that are being put in some tough situations, and we've got to be able to handle that better.
You have 2 games this week, so the back-to-back. Don't normally see that. Just what was the thinking or behind that? Why did they do that?
Well, and I tell you what, I want to thank Sandy at Prairie View because she was really kind. Actually, she moved the game up for us because Prairie View was coming in on Saturday. And then when we got into the tournament in the Bahamas, we realized we would need to leave on Saturday for that first game. So we needed to move it. And so it was very kind of them. We talked to them nonstop about how to be able to navigate the schedule. And she was beyond kind and really grateful. So not ideal to play 2 teams back to back, but I do think that they're 2 great teams that continue to take us into different styles of play, and I had the opportunity to play Prairie View when I was down at Rice, and I know that they play a great style of play that continues to grow the different styles that we're playing against. So yeah, we're grateful for that.
Then to like that, what type of challenge is it to like play these two games, and what can you, how can you guys get better from this?
Yeah. I can pick one way. No. No, so I would say, there's a neat thing about coming home is that you do get to have a little bit better, safer environment to go fix some things that you weren't doing well. And our fans have been incredible. Our community's been incredible. So I'm excited for them to play in the comfort of your family and your community, and so that you can go and do some hard things, because we've got to be better defensively than we were in the last game. And while we've had some good growth this season, that you've had some moments where you've seen our team play at a high level defensively, we have not what we call competitive stamina, which is our theme. We have not shown that for 40 minutes. And so, and we've got to show that whoever's on the floor and whatever our positions are. And so it's an area that I'd love to see us grow in this next game, is the way that we compete in every possession to be the best we can on defense. And then offensively, we have to be better organized. And so understand what's the next right thing on offense, and have a better poise to us.
I hate the word identity, but has this team established a personality yet?
That's a great question. I think we are culturally who we are, which is, we are a team that is humble, and they're passionate, and they're united in a shared purpose, and they have growth mindset. I do believe that those are our core values, and I think that is the way they live. I don't think that just makes you execute on the basketball court, but it gives you the opportunity to grow from failure faster, to come into practice with the right mindset. And I think they're becoming that. We're all becoming that. Not to use our mission statement, but that was interesting. But I think we are becoming that. No one is ever those core values all the time perfectly. Goodness knows they're very aspirational. But I do think that we really do aspire to be people that walk in those well. So.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.